One of the next things that I'm going to be working on at the cabin is the electrical system. And because I'm off-grid, my only option to bring power into the cabin is to use solar. So I'm working with a company called Power, and they have a product which is this Licitti AC power box. And you've seen a lot of the DIY power boxes on the internet, and this is similar to that, but this is the best one that I've seen anywhere in the market. So let's pull this apart and we'll take a look at it. All right, so let's bring this a little bit closer. So we'll take off the top and we'll see exactly what's going on inside here. All right, so this is our top. Let me adjust this. This has an integrated 1000 watt pure sine wave power inverter. It also has an integrated MPPT charge controller. I'm trying to move that so you can see, but you can see right there, MPPT. And it also has the cables already integrated to connect up to any battery that you might have. So that includes acid, gel, AGM, or lithium, LiFePO 4. On the front, you've got your main power switch. You've got two PD and quick charge USB port banks here and here, and then you've got your 12 volt cigarette lighter socket. Okay, and then you've got your battery monitor here. Over here next to the power inverter, you've got your AC adapter, so you can run AC components. And then you've got an input fan, and on the back an output fan, so it brings the airflow across the components. So that's great cooling. And then on the side here, with the built-in MPPT controller, you've got a black Anderson connector here. And this one is dedicated to the MPPT controller, and it is limited to 10 amps, so that's why this is black, so there's no confusing that. And then you've got 3 more 50 amp Anderson connectors, and you've got one 175 amp Anderson connectors. And all of these connectors are input output except for the MPPT controller plug. That one is input only. Okay, I've already got a battery inside. This is not the battery that I'm going to be using. I actually bought a battery, a Licitti battery that just hasn't arrived yet, but that will be what I'm going to be using. It's a 100 amp hour battery, and I'll probably go over some details of that in another video. But let's go ahead and get this connected up, and then we'll do a few tests. Okay, one thing that I want to mention is that you should have your power switch in the off position before you connect your battery or work on any of these components. All right, first off, you can see that I've got my posts. This is positive, red, and black is negative. So that is how I'm going to be connecting up my cables. Okay, I'm just going to get these finger tight for now. Okay, that's it. That's all there is to setting up this DIY battery box. And you just want to route your cables and get the box on. One thing that I did want to mention is that the battery box does come with a belt strap that you can use to strap your battery in and keep it secure. Alright, so what comes with the battery box? You also get a bag full of accessories. You can never get these things open. Comes with another strap. Got some power pole covers, which I should have put on first before I connected the battery. But I'll be putting those on once I get my Licitti battery. You've got some mounting brackets that you can use to mount this to the floor. And you've got 4 of these screws that are used to connect the top to the box. And there's 1 in each corner. Okay, in addition to that, you get a couple of cables. So it comes with an Anderson to MC4, which is going to be compatible with most solar systems out there. And this Anderson connector is black to remind you which Anderson port to plug it into, the one that has the MPPT controller. It also has some alligator clips to Anderson. And this is handy. So if you have something that you want to connect up, but you don't have the proper cable, this is kind of that all-in-one cable. It'll help you connect up pretty much anything. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn this main power switch on. And right now I don't have anything displaying on my display. That's because I don't have power to the display turned on. That's what this power button is right here. So we'll push that. Now we've got our display enabled, and this is coming up. This is the voltage, the AC voltage that's coming off of the pure sine wave inverter. If I can scroll through here, that is my load coming off of the inverter, and right now I don't have anything plugged in, so the load is at 0. And this is the voltage that I've currently got across my battery. 13.2 volts. Now there's 2 modes where I can go through and each one of the different items for display, or I can press and hold this for a couple of seconds and then it will start scrolling through each of the different items. So that would be called mode 2. And as soon as you get to what you want, you can just push the button and it stops there. So let's start plugging some stuff in and see how it works. Alright, there's only a couple of things that I'm going to be running at the cabin. One of them is this, it's a 1,000-watt microwave. Get these cables out of the way. So let's go ahead and get that plugged in, and we'll see if this 1,000-watt pure sine wave inverter will run my 1,000-watt microwave. Okay, so you can see that it has come on. I'm just going to push the button here and just run it for 30 seconds. Alright, it seems to be running just fine. You can see that the voltage on bring it over here closer. You can see that the voltage is dropping. Let's look what the load is. 954 watts. So it's pulling just under 1,000 watts. But that's cool. I can actually run a microwave off of this. And the other thing that I want to be able to run is a little DC refrigerator. So let me go grab that and we'll see how that does. Alright, I've got a DC refrigerator here. This will run on AC or DC, but I want to run it off of DC, so I'm not going through the inverter. And it comes with, you know, with the cigarette lighter plug. So I'm going to go ahead and get that hooked up. Alright, so we can see that this is on. The current temperature inside the refrigerator is 56 degrees. I've got it set to 34 degrees, so that's what it'll get down to. But that is running off of my DC output. Alright, those are the two main items that I want to be able to run. I also want to be able to run some DC lights. In order to get that set up, we need to move to my outdoor laboratory. Alright, I do want to mention also that this does come with some carrying straps, which makes it really easy to move around. Alright, so let me go grab my my cable connectors, and then I've got a couple of solar panels that I want to hook up, and we can test out those Anderson ports. Alright, first I've got this Renogy 100 watt solar panel, and it's not getting direct sunlight, so it's not going to be putting out a ton, but we can measure what it is putting out, how many amps. And I've just got the MC4 to Anderson cable that came with the box, and we'll plug that into the black Anderson port, which is for the MPPT controller. So let me go grab my my amp meter, and we'll check out, see how many amps we're getting. The sun is directly overhead, and it's behind a bunch of clouds, so not going to be the best day for this. But I've got the panel pointing a little bit better. Let's see if we can't get a better result. Okay, now we're getting about 0.4 amps. Okay. Now I've seen a lot of people comment on whether or not you can connect up a different solar panel, you know, so you can have more than one bank coming in on one of these other ports. So let's check that out. I've got a Harbor Freight 25 watt panel. We'll connect that up to here through a charge controller, and we'll see how that does. Okay, so I've got the Thunderbolt charge controller that comes with the Harbor Freight solar panels, and this is where these alligator clips come in handy, because I don't have a cable that'll go from this charge controller to my box, so I'm going to be using the alligator clips. Okay, so we've got that in. Try to isolate these a little bit. And now I just need to plug the other end up to my Harbor Freight solar panel. Alright, so we'll trace my cable back. And here is a 25 watt Harbor Freight solar panel. And it is getting, you can see the blue light there, so it is active. Okay, according to the charge controller, it is supplying 14.4 volts, which is good. I've got this connected here, and trace it to these alligator clips, which come up into here. So you can have multiple solar panel banks by using one of these other Anderson ports, but just remember that you will have to use a charge controller. Alright, so let's see how the Harbor Freight panel is doing. Okay, I'm getting about 1/4 of an amp from the Harbor Freight, and that's pretty good because that's getting half as much as this 100 watt Renogy panel, and it's only 25 watt. Yeah, because I'm getting about half an amp with the Renogy 100 watt, and I'm getting 1/4 of an amp with the Harbor Freight 25 watt. And that's because the Harbor Freight, it's an amorphous. This is a monocrystalline. The amorphous batteries do a lot better in low light than mono or polycrystalline does. Okay, so now another thing, the last thing that I want to be able to run in the cabin are some lights. And the Harbor Freight kit comes with a couple of these lights, and they plug right into the controller. The controller has an output, so it has 3 DC barrel outputs, so I can plug my light in there, and then it also comes with an on and off switch. Well, that didn't work. Alright, the charge controller does have a button. You can see that I've got power coming from the solar panel to the battery, but I don't have anything coming out. So I need to turn on the light switch, and now you can see that I've got power coming in and then power coming out. And now when I turn the light switch on and off, you can see it come on and off. So this unit right here is going to give me the ability to run my entire cabin, because I don't have a whole lot of needs. I need to be able to turn on and off lights in the evening. I need to run my refrigerator, and it'd be nice to be able to run an appliance like a microwave, you know, every now and then. And it won't be running it for long, 30 seconds, a minute at a time. And so it's going to put on a heavy draw, but for a very short amount of time. So this battery is going to be great. Another thing that you can do with these batteries, because you've got these Anderson ports, is you can actually expand the capacity of your system. And the way you would do that is you would get an Anderson to ring cable, and then you can connect up a secondary battery and then plug that into one of these ports, because these ports are input and output, and that will essentially be putting the second battery in parallel. And it doesn't give you the ability to go positive from one battery, negative from the other, but with lithium-ion batteries, that's not necessary. You don't need to do that. I mean, if you do that, it is optimal, but in a configuration as small as 200 amp hours, the benefit is really minimal, and so it's not something that you have to do. And a lot of people out there think that if you connect a couple of batteries in parallel like that, and you charge them, you know, through one battery that you'll have to completely charge and discharge one battery and then charge and discharge the second battery after that. That's not the case. What does happen is when you're charging a battery bank like that, the battery that you're connected to is going to get a slightly higher voltage and current than the second battery, so it will charge faster than the second battery, but you don't have to wait for this one to fully charge. When this one does fully charge, however, 100% of the current will then automatically go to the second battery until it's topped off. But they do both charge at the same time, just the second battery is a little bit slower. And the reason why you can get away with that with lithium batteries is because they have built-in BMS systems in every battery. So there's no worry about overcharging the first battery as you're charging the second one. You cannot do that with lead acid batteries, whether they're sealed or gel or AGM. You cannot do it with those batteries, but you can with lithium batteries. And in fact, a lot of you guys are probably familiar with Will Prowse. That's actually how he has his setup, is in parallel, but he charges through the first battery. And I will link that video where he actually goes through all of that information, talks about what you can and can't do, and the different efficiencies. I'll link to that video, and it'll prove everything that I'm saying right now. All right, that's going to do it for this week's video. I want to thank Lee Power and the Licitti battery box for being the sponsor of this video. And this is going to be a great addition to the cabin. It's going to allow me to easily run my entire cabin. I can expand my battery system if I need to. I can hook up multiple solar panel banks because these other ports I can get up to 50 amps through each of them, and the one with the integrated MPPT controller is limited to 10 amps, and that's why it's black. But this is a great box, does everything that I need it to do, and I can't wait to get it installed at the cabin. All right, talk to you guys later.